Hi everyone, welcome to Tech on Cloud. This is Docker Fundamentals series and today is day 7 and I hope you all are enjoying this Docker Fundamentals series. So today I'm gonna talk about Docker Compose and how to install Docker Compose, and we will be seeing how to install them in a Linux system, and then I would be doing a practical stuff to show you how Docker Compose work. Okay, so stay tuned, learn Docker with Tech on Cloud. So let's move to the first slide where we will be knowing what is Docker Compose. So Docker Compose is a tool that allows you to define and run multiple container Docker applications. So basically this tool is used to run your many instances of the container for a particular application. It is particularly useful for applications that have multiple services and needs to be run in different containers. Docker Compose file is a YAML file with dictionary name services. Okay, it is a list of services defined in a key value format. With Docker Compose, you can define all your services and their different dependencies in a single file, make it easy to start and stop your application. Okay, but there is one major drawback for Docker Compose, which is we cannot access our application until or unless we map the ports on a Docker host. Okay, so it is necessary to map our ports with Docker host in the Docker Compose file while writing the configuration for our application. Okay, so to get started with Docker Compose, you will need to have it installed in your system. You can download it with official Docker website or use your package manager to install it. So let's move to the next slide and see how to install it. So this below command are for Linux systems. Okay, we have to curl in this GitHub repository, which is the official Docker Compose repository, and it will be mapped to a user local bin Docker Compose in your local machine. Okay, and this 1.29.2 is the official release or the version of the Docker Compose. So you can go inside Docker Compose repository and see for the latest stable tag, and you can paste it here and it will be starting to curl it, and it will be located in your bin Docker Compose folder. Okay, now next step is changing the executable permission for that compose directory. So we do that by doing sudo chmod plus x, giving the permission to execute the file. That's all. You are done with Docker Compose. Now you have to see whether it is installed and which version it is installed. You have to run Docker Compose -- version. Okay, so then let me take you to my terminal and let's see which version I have installed for Docker Compose. So I am not executing all the commands. These commands are available here in the slides. You can just write them down quickly on your system and install it. Okay, so I will just show you the version which I have installed. So let me go to my terminal. Here we are. Then let's do sudo docker compose version . Okay, my spelling is wrong for here. So we have 1.29.2 which is built. Okay, now let's take a look on Docker Compose file. So once we have a Docker Compose installed, we have to create a Compose file to define our application. Okay, and this YAML file that describes your services, networks, and volumes is that Docker Compose file. Okay, let's take a look for an application. So I will be taking example for my previous lecture application, which was for a simple Go web application. Okay, so I have created a Docker Compose file for that application with defining the particular services for it. So let's go to that directory and see the compose file. Cd GitHub workspaces, then we will go to practice, then port mapping, ls clear ls. You can see I have a docker compose file .yaml. Okay, before moving further, let me clear you something, that docker compose .yaml file name, for any docker compose file you have to mention particular formats for their file name, that is docker compose, docker-compose.yaml, or you can make it compose.yaml or docker-compose.yaml for YAML. Okay, so once you run it incorrectly, you will be seeing an error which will be denoting you have to use the particular type of file names to run this docker compose file. Okay, so let's look inside the file docker compose.yaml what is there. Okay, yep, you can see I have the version. So version is 2 here. Okay, so this 2 version depends upon the stable version which we are downloading. So there is one more version stable for 3 which I have not downloaded it so far. Okay, so accordingly you can write the version, but yeah, for the docker compose file you have to start with the version. Okay, now we have to define the services. So services would be for our application. So this is not my application, it's a web application, so I have taken web, then build. So after our application is ready, what the first thing we have to perform is to build the docker image. Okay, so there is a build flag which we use here with a dot symbol which says build it in a current directory. Okay, so docker file in the current directory would be scanned and exposed according to the docker file command, and that's the workflow here. So instead of executing docker build separately, we are doing it with the help of a compose file here. Okay, so and now as I told previously, we have to define ports for the application and it should be also mapped. Okay, so our port is mapped. If you have seen the day 6 lecture, there was an application which I built that is the same application here. Let me give you a docker file example also so that you can correlate what I am trying to tell you. Okay, so it says okay, my command is wrong, it should be cat. You can see I am trying to tell you what this 8080 is a docker outside port and 5050 is an inside port for what we say our main.go file which is here. Okay, so we are doing nothing, but yeah, we have to build a docker file to run the docker compose because it initially takes things from there. So instead, suppose we have separately built our image, then we can use the tag for images, then container name, reset. There are many things you can add on this configuration file. This will be coming up in the advanced category of Docker. Then the volumes are defined separately. Means if you want to add volumes here, then you can continue like services. You have to create a volume with a colon and you have to mention there that what types of volume you are using. For services, suppose we are using a database, then we have to use something like depends upon, then db slash, and then we have to uh, give configuration for that database, that which image it will use and what are the things it going to fetch. And so it's a long thing that a configuration file takes up with all the different types of configuration for the particular application for which we are trying to build it. So yeah, this most of the things here is related to the advanced concept of Docker. So we will be seeing it in my advanced lectures when I will be doing that. So till then, for basic fundamental course, this is all enough which I am telling right now. So let's try to run it. Let me clear it up. Now sudo docker compose up. Okay, so this command would be doing something. So this will be creating an image and starting the containers for our service. Okay, let's execute it. Enter. So it is now fetching. So it is already built, so that's why we cannot see what are the steps it is done. For previous things, example, I built it, so the image is already there. So if you run this command, you will get something like this, and if you go and try to fetch it in browser, then you will get the things. Okay, but before doing that, let's move to the browser and see the output first of all, and then we will go to see something else, what is happening in the compose section. Okay, so let's move to the browser. So here are we onto the browser, and let's run it. So I will just hit the enter, and you can see hello world is being printed, and the Docker Compose is doing its task very efficiently here. So let's move back to the slide, and let's see what I'm trying to show you next. So we are back on the screen, and let's I have stopped the application by implementing Ctrl+Z. Now let's do one thing. We should see where our this container is running. So as we implement the command in Docker, that is docker ps, we would be implementing docker sudo docker compose ps here to see that. Let's verify it. Sudo docker compose ps. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a name port mapping web1 here, and the command which Docker file is using to run it, the state is up, and the port C. As I was explaining throughout the lecture, this local host is being ported to 5000 TCP, that is our application main.go file, which is residing locally in our system. Okay, so now this you can see it technically how the ports are mapped here. Okay, so this is all for Docker Compose, and this is what I wanted to tell about Docker Compose. So this is very little thing which I have covered for Docker Compose section. There is more advanced stuff for Docker configuration, which is the part of the advanced course. So this is Docker fundamentals. So I would not be diving deep to show how we manage and configure things in for the production environments. Okay, so yeah, but I will be doing that when I will be launching Docker advanced course here on my YouTube channel. So stay tuned, and I will be announcing it via post. Okay, so this is all for today, for day 7 of Docker fundamentals. So as usual, if you find this content interesting, please hit the like button, comment out your views. If you have any doubts, then also comment. We will be happy to discuss it with you. And if you have something to discuss, reach out to me personally. I have various handles which I have posted in the description box. You can easily reach out to me. uh, so yeah, that's all. And please don't forget to subscribe Tech on Cloud, um, because you will not regret it in future. I'm planning to implement various things here on this channel. So stay tuned and learn Docker with Tech on Cloud for Docker Fundamentals series. Till then, bye bye. Love you all. Take care. That's all from Tech on Cloud.